Welcome, our fellow dragons, to episode 22 of Generation Dragon. Steve, how's it going?
Good man, good man. It's good to see you, Clint, as always.
Yeah, you as well. You as
Cheers.
well. Cheers. Good news. I signed the papers, friend. I am officially moving jobs, which is cool.
Hooray! Congrats, man. You've been wanting this to happen for weeks now.
Yeah. I think we're
But
close to a month. Nothing like fast transition from one job to another.
right,
So looking forward to it. It'll be interesting. Will be interesting. And hey, like I mentioned, my boss has some hookups within the Marvel universe. It'd be pretty sweet.
I hope we can have a chat with him hopefully one day.
It'd be really cool. This dude is. I have some of his comics that he's done. I've got some of the covers that he's done, and it's pretty sweet. It's interesting. So it'd be pretty cool to tap into someone who's as experienced as this gentleman.
Yeah,
And
just remind me to wear a Superman shirt that day.
no, he's done.
I'm kidding. I don't want him to jump off the call right away.
He's done other stuff too. I've looked him up more in depth yesterday after I found out. And It's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Anyway, Steve, right off the bat, off into a tangent. So let's jump into her. And what's been new? What have you been playing? Have you been playing anything? You've been watching anything? What's up? What's up with you?
So I collected a huge pile of comics this weekend. I went in and picked up my stash, and I think I sent you a picture. It was like that thick.
Yeah,
but I added things I don't normally pick up because I wanted to get back more into some of the He-Man stories. So I did that multiverse one, picked up a bunch of those. You got, of course, all the different Transformer ones. I even got my EB Games magazines because things are opening up. You can actually go and get things again.
That's it.
Geez, I even have photo magazines. Like there's a stack of one there, like of all stuff. I'm like, when am I going to read these all? It's been so long. What about you?
Just been I picked up my comics on the weekend, so I've been kind of catching up on that. I haven't been able to read too much of it because I missed out on a few issues. Just, as you're aware, I get the emails of what's coming this week and miss a couple every once in a while. So waiting for a few to come back in and or have my file refilled. So but I've been reading that, playing Ratchet and Clank, which was excellent. Finished Biomutant.
So I heard nothing but good things about Ratchet.
Yeah, it's I think from what I understand, I'm pretty close to the end of the game, but now I'm taking my time to finishing it because I enjoy it so much. And then I won't have anything to play on my PS5 other than Virtual Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, I think it's what it's called, but the remake they did for the PS4. And me and Sega, I gotta have that Virtua Fighter, the Virtua Fighter games in me, right? So
this is related to what we want to talk about today, actually, but I just don't remember, and because I'm going to forget about it if I don't mention it now. From the Dreamcast, the VMU, used to be able to sync, if I remember right, you could sync it with. Oh, maybe I'm remembering wrong. I thought you could sync it with a Neo Geo Pocket. I think I'm getting confused with something else. But there was a cross-platform compatibility with a couple of the fighter games. I just don't remember what it was with.
Well, I know that you say that. I know Nintendo did it with the GameCube, where you could play FZero GX, which was the FZero game for the GameCube, and bring your memory card to an arcade and play FZero AX, I believe it was called.
Okay. Yeah, so this wasn't as good. I think it might have just been the Dreamcast. I'll have to look it up because it's bugging me. But I remember you really couldn't do anything with it except unlocked a couple of things that no one took advantage of really, and it never came to North America.
Okay.
But I remember reading it back in the day in a magazine. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. I thought the VMU was the coolest thing in the world. It was like a memory card / a mini Game Boy.
Well, I remember Sonic Adventure and just putting all my chows on there and raising my chow just like a Tamagotchi, right? So so I finished Biomutant, which was good. Game was okay. I mean, it wasn't as bad as some people had said. A little slower, like just the way conversations that occurred was slow, but it was an interesting game. Glad to see new IPs out there that aren't too, that were decent. So
how long did it take you to get through?
12 hours, 12, maybe 10 to 12 hours. More than happy to
So you can do it in a couple of days if you want.
More than happy to lend it over to you, Steve, if you want to give her a shot.
Yeah, I got to give you back Detroit since we finished that up again.
And I totally forgot to grab it when I was over at your place.
Yeah, I know you were driving down the road. I'm like, do I call him? I'm like, nah, we'll just get it next time.
Yeah, and then I've been jumping back into like Metroid and like OG Metroid with Metroid Dread coming. So I
was going to say, I wonder why you're doing that, but I actually am really looking forward to that myself. I'm kind of giving up on the pre-ordering it after hearing your horror stories.
Yeah, no, that's for another episode. But yeah, it's been brutal, right? Like, it's frustrating to try to collect stuff when people are just dinks about it.
Or their bots.
Yeah, do the bot stuff, and it's real pain in the ass. But anyways, nevertheless, if anything, like I'll do like what I've done for Zelda is I'll just buy it. I'll pre-order it or order it from Japan, and I'll have a special box here with Japanese writing on it. And hey, most of the time the games have the English in it already. Or I'll get screwed like Final Fantasy and not have any English in it, which was great. So anywho, that's been it. Have you been watching Loki? Have you jumped into Loki lately? Or
yeah, I have. Yep, it's actually I'm really liking it. I haven't watched the latest yet. On that, I'm really liking Superman and Lois. It's been really good.
That's good.
Again, I still haven't watched the latest. Just busy with doing stuff. Father's Day actually, till pretty late, and then just haven't had a chance since because we like to sit down as a family to watch those. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I think with us, Captain and I are. Well, yeah, what's it, the third episode of Loki's tomorrow, I think. So we're an episode behind as well. But I think maybe we'll keep it as a two-shot night type thing. We'll watch it for 2 episodes in a row. I mean,
every couple weeks kind of thing.
Yeah. And hey, you know what? We got the hockey game on tonight, right? 9:00, Vegas.
Yep.
Montreal.
I thought so. I know not too many people probably care about hockey that listen to this, but 2 games ago, Montreal blew it. Like, I don't know how they won that game. Like that.
Oh yeah, outplayed like crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the second game, not as much, but I thought Montreal was outplaying Vegas, and they pulled it out in overtime. So that said, it'll be interesting. I really thought Vegas was going to take them in 6, and they still can. They're only at 2-2, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I know a big issue is the way the refs have been. So that's a big.
That was brutal. The reffing.
Yeah. So
anyway, I'm no hockey expert. I won't get into it, but for me to be like, "What the hell, ref?"
Yeah. Then you know something's going down. That shouldn't be going down. Cool, Steve. So yeah, you know what? I mean, it's good to catch up and stuff like that, and we want to kind of loop back into what we were kind of alluding to before with Sega and ahead of its time. And I know we cut again,
and it's worth talking about again because it really was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it hurts my heart when I see Sega out there and not getting the love that they deserve. Right? They really did a lot of new things, innovative things prior to everyone else. Right? Like the big one, or one that really sticks in my memory, and I'm sure it does for you, is the TV tuner for the Game Gear. Like,
yep,
that it was crazy. I mean, it would have worked in Canada up until probably 5 years ago.
I was married and still using it.
Exactly.
And yeah, once we went all digital, it stopped working. But it actually has a line in. Believe it or not, I plugged in an Xbox original, I should say. I don't want to get people confused. Into that to play whatever game just to see if it could do it, and it could.
Yeah,
it looked like shit, but it could do it. But that thing saved many drives home from the in-laws when we go visit them on a Sunday night for dinner.
Yeah,
Kirsty, my wife, would be driving home because I'd usually have drinks and she wouldn't, and we would fight if I was in the front seat with her all the time because I'd always do the fake brake or go faster, So I just ended up. I'd like to watch football, so I'd sit in the back of the seat with the Genesis. With the Game Gear, and the TV tuner, and I would just tune in to Global and watch the football game while we were driving home.
Right. No, that's
And that way I was distracted the whole time and I didn't see, wasn't being a front backseat driver.
Oh, that's awesome. No, it's true. I mean, it's impressive, right? And we've talked about it before with the Sega CD and the 32X and all that stuff. And we look back at the Dreamcast and, how ahead of its time with voice over IP that it allowed, and it
Subscription gaming.
Had modem built into it. Like, that is crazy. I still think that is nuts that it had a modem built into it right off the bat. 1999, man. And it had a modem. Now it was a 56K modem.
For the Genesis way before that.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. What was that one called?
Sega Channel, and there's also, let me take a look at me notes here. Yeah, there's Sega Meganet, right?
Right.
Also, Sega Channel, like I just mentioned. There's Telegenesis modem, which was more in Japan. I don't think they released it in North America.
No, I don't. They
did a different one.
That's the one thing, though, right? Like, it's a lot of that stuff, innovative stuff, was Japan only, right? And so then, and I think I'd be curious because Sega did rule North America.
Genesis does
during the Genesis, right? Like they outplayed the Super Nintendo hard. But then it makes I wonder if that stuff would have come out to the US if it would have worked. Probably not, because our infrastructure wasn't there. that the infrastructure of the world wasn't there, right? Like, we weren't North America's internet capabilities. So I say internet, but phone and TV capabilities were not to the same par as it was in Japan, right? But I'd be curious to see what would have happened, hey, if we had the alternate universe.
Yeah, right. Why can't we have been born in Japan?
Yeah, it would be a different
one place I gotta go.
Different life, Steve. Different life. Hey, fun fact, just so everyone knows, and I know this is going to come out after the fact, but Steve, just so you know, tomorrow is Sonic's 30th anniversary, the actual 30th anniversary of Sonic.
I do know. That's why I threw up that picture a moment ago, but I didn't size it right. It's 30 years Nintendo.
Nintendo.
And I'm in the way a bit, but there's Sonic holding up.
Oh, there he is. Good stuff. Is that supposed to be Ness from
NES and a Famicom?
No, is that Ness from NES from Mother? I mean Earthbound?
Ness. Oh, what? I don't know. Kind of looks like. I didn't really think about that. I literally was just looking for random pictures to throw up, but you might be onto it. Anyway, I'll turn it off. I didn't try too hard there on these ones.
No, but and we've talked about it, right? Like, it's kind of cool what they did with like the Sonic and Knuckles additional cartridge. I remember throwing in my Aladdin game into it, right? And
did it work?
It did. I mean, it worked for Sonic and Knuckles. It didn't work for Aladdin.
Okay, the game just played, or
the game just played. I can't remember. So
it's not like we can't try it again.
No, I mean, we're just going to try it. But if I recall correctly, you have to plug in a separate game that's not a Sonic game, i.e. Aladdin, and it would give you something in Sonic and Knuckles. I'm just trying to remember what it gives you. Extra lives, passcode.
Almost has like a Game Genie effect.
Yeah. But
only the plugged in the Game Genie, the Sonic and Knuckles, and then Aladdin.
Oh, I don't know. Unfortunately, I only have a Game Genie for a NES, so I couldn't try that. But and God knows that Game Genie even still works. But fudge. I don't want to drop the F-bomb.
You'll be buying another one if you find out. Better just look at it and assume it works.
Yeah. And I mean, just that we're on the whole topic of Sega and Sonic. I've been playing Knuckles Chaotic recently, which is the last of the 2D side-scrolling Sonic games from the Genesis era. It's an interesting take. I don't know if you've ever tried it, if you've ever played it.
Yeah, a long time ago. So
I've been reaping the benefit of our beautiful arcades to do it that way. Fun fact and another side tangent. I was having a nice conversation with Kathy yesterday. And she was like, well, when the kids get older and you're like, Kai wants to come downstairs with his friends. What are you going to do? How are you going to make sure his friends don't break your stuff, right?
Not even just that. Where are you going to go when they want to go there?
She was like, well, you should just buy a second arcade and then have one that's a backup arcade. Like, this is where all the little kids play on this arcade. And then
why don't you just do what I did? So remember when we had all the kids over and the cotton candy machine going with my buddy Brian and them? Well, in the garage, because I have another Raspberry Pi just in a case, I just grabbed a monitor and threw out an arcade out there via gamepads. It's not the same as having a box, but
I know, but that's the thing. I mean, hey, I already got the okay from my wife.
Yeah, right. Why am I trying to?
Why? What are you doing?
I'll be all over that with you.
Why are you pooping on my idea, Steve?
Yeah, seriously. So which one are you going to get this time? I recommend, depending how you're doing it, the At Games Legends arcade. It's got spinners, trackball, joysticks. It's got USB in, HDMI in and out. It's kind of like almost already modded.
Where am I going to put it?
We'll find room. You have a garage. We can keep it here if you like. I'll babysit it till you need it.
Yeah, babysit it. Okay, so I'll take your wall of games and I'll babysit those until you want to play some of them.
I might have to with all the DVDs I just inherited recently. Insane. I have hundreds and hundreds of DVDs, and you literally watch everything digitally these days.
Yeah, it's true.
It's kind of somebody's last wish for me to have them, so I got to put them up.
That's it, man. That's what you got to do. Yeah, dude. So that I've been playing. It's fun. But again, talking about, and then we've talked about this before, the collections and stuff like that. This game is expensive to buy. It's like more than $150 Canadian to buy Knuckles Chaotic for the 32X, right? You have to have a working 32X where, as you recall, mine's kind of
flaky.
Yeah,
I think we can make that work better.
Well, we fixed it. It works. Since we fixed it, I haven't had any issues with it.
Okay, good.
Blew out the dust and all that stuff. But again, I haven't played much of it lately. So, and then, so that's the Knuckles Chaotic 32X. I mean, Sega. I'm just appreciating my Sonic wall. That's all. I'm just looking in the distance. Funny thing. So I know this is one of those random episodes. I know we kind of want to talk about Sega and how ahead of their time, but I wanted to share this little tidbit with you, Steve. So I had my meeting with my new future boss yesterday, and he's just like, oh yeah, Clint, like, you're a low-key nerd, eh? I'm like, low-key? I was like, dude, I gotta show you.
Closet geek is what he's calling you.
Yeah, I gotta show you something, buddy. And he's like, what are you talking about? So I unhook my computer, walk him down to the basement, and just show him everything. He's like, oh man, you're not a closet geek or low-key
got
nerd.
that in your head.
And I was like, nah, man.
You're full blown.
Yeah, like, dude, every time I have a call with them, I'm wearing a video game t-shirt. There's no, it's not, like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. But it was good. It's good. So he's like, man, he saw the arcade. He's like, if I come up to Ottawa, I'm gonna have to play you on that against some Street Fighter or something like that. It's like, all right, man.
We could do before he comes. I'll set up your arcade with a switch like mine with the coin up, but we'll make it loonies.
Yeah.
Hell, we'll make it toonies.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and yeah. So back to Sega, how ahead of its time it was, man. Like it's crazy to think that they did a modem in 1990 for the Genesis.
So, just on that, there was also X-Band. That was not Sega proprietary. It was they worked on SNES and Genesis, but that was until 94. So they're still 4 years ahead of that.
But even then, that wasn't like a full. Like, how did that work? The
it's sort of like a game, kind of like how the Game Genie goes in. You
Right.
pop the X-band in, and then whatever game you're playing online, you put on top. It was more to play and compete, if I remember right.
Oh, okay. So something like a way to fix to do like LAN parties, but on Genesis. Yeah, okay.
So, and then there was also Sega Channel, which is subscription-based service, way ahead of its time. I mean, Naboo was ahead of all of that, but just saying. I got to plug it in once in a while. But they were the first actual console gaming. Like, Naboo was an actual computer still.
Right, yeah.
It was console. And way, way ahead of its time and way lower price point.
Oh, yeah.
So...
No, that's it. I'm still rattled with all that. How, I mean, and I'm glad to see Sega.
First Sega CD, first one with optical drives.
That's true. Yeah.
They upgraded to 32-bit before anyone else.
True. Yeah.
Sort of. You can argue that because other consoles came out, but I mean, they made a 16-bit, 32-bit.
Yeah. This is true. This is true.
First one to use an actual OS. I remember right?
Yeah.
Like on the Dreamcast, Windows CE.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. And just to think of how, if you look back to Sega published games and Sega developed games, there were so many Sega games. Like even if you look at the Dreamcast is very similar. So when I look back at the Dreamcast, I compare it to something like what the Wii U. Well, the Wii not so much, but like Dreamcast and GameCube were very similar, and even the Wii U were similar, as in like games that were coming out for that system only more or less were only made by or published by Sega, i.e., or Nintendo, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at a GameCube collection. The key games are all Nintendo Direct games. They didn't have a lot of support in the back end, right? Which was very much the same thing with Dreamcast. I mean, yes, there's Dreamcast games that were made by Acclaim and Tecmo and stuff like that, right? Like they were there. Bandai Namco.
Like I thought let's say it lost it a bit. They lost a lot of third-party support once they went to really the Saturn and up.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, right? The Saturn is where they lost. Everyone went. They lost at Saturn because PlayStation and the price point of Sony and all that stuff, and
which was kind of not true. It was misleading. Yeah. So I remember, like, because I was back then selling it, and people were like, "Well, I can buy the Sony for this much cheaper." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you still have to buy a memory card, and you still have to buy a game." And I think Virtua Fighter came packed in with the Saturn, and then the memory card. I mean, it's better to pick your game for sure, but there was hardly any games, like 15 games when the PS1 came out.
Yeah. So, no, I think Sony had a lot more clout, not so much in the gaming industry, but just in general, right? This back then, that Sony was
Walkman, the Discman, the
TV,
Betamax,
radio,
Trinitron,
cameras,
camcorders.
Right. Like they just had they had more clout, they had more weight to them.
Yeah, right? They're electronics manufacturer.
Yeah. And I think that's what moved companies away from that, because they just knew.
Right? Yeah. Like they just inherent with that name Sony, they think quality, and that's
exactly.
And it's more adult.
Yeah.
Where Sega, even though it was more adult than Nintendo, especially 16-bit gen, what they're going for, it was still, someone that didn't know anything about video games, if they wanted to get one, for some reason, they'd see Sega, they'd be like, "Oh, Sony makes good shit."
Yeah. And they still make good shit. But but that's exactly it. But and I think, and then go back to the point where it's like with Sega, right? With the Dreamcast and the Saturn, Saturn started to die down because the Saturn had like Madden, they had NHL, they had a lot, they had that support from EA and things, right? Where Dreamcast, they didn't have any of that, right? Everything was made in-house.
Never visual concepts. Why they didn't go after that more. I think that's where they dropped the ball. I think I need to read more about it, but why?
If I recall correctly, I remember looking into this, and it had to do with EA just didn't. No, it was either
so there was Trip Hopkins and the 3DO or anything back then, right? Because he was already.
It was a mix. It was like EA did not believe in Sega. They thought the Dreamcast was going to flop because of how poor the games did on the Saturn. And then there was some other disagreement between Sega and EA. Now I don't remember exactly what it was, but it had to do. But it was part of it. Part of why
licensing, maybe, or royalties.
No, it wasn't even licensing. No. But so like it was either Sega had. Yeah, we'll have to go back and confirm this. But if I recall correctly, Sega had. EA had the rights to NHL and all on those games at the time. Same, but like NHL and NFL would share the rights, right? Then, because all of the EA games did so poorly on the Saturn, EA was like, "No, we're not going to do anything for your Dreamcast." And then Sega had to partner with Visual Concepts to do black box games, stuff like that, to do. Their 2K games.
Is that where all the 2K games came from? Because they were good.
Yeah, Visual Concepts.
They got better and better, and I mean, all those sports games usually do, but I really liked them. It was too bad we lost it. I think a lot of that had to do with licensing with what the NBA and NHL, NFL, and player name stuff. They took it away and gave it to EA only, and then
that was in the NFL, NHL. So NHL, they Madden is the only one that is the only game NFL game that can be made because EA owns the rights to the NFL, where NBA, NHL are still open, and MLB even, but Sony owns the rights to MLB, but then MLB came out to Sony and told them that they need to release on multiple platforms so they can have a broader audience. Hence why we have MLB the Show on the Xbox, right? Visual Concepts, our latest release, NBA 2K1. So yeah, Visual Concepts, which is the company that started that Sega partnered with to make the games back in the day. The parent company was Sega from 1999 to 2005, and then Take-Two Interactive 2005, and then 2K 2005 to present. So who owns 2K? Anywho, but that's part of it, right? Like that's
no. But we got a blip there. Hopefully the recording's okay.
Internet connection is unstable. Oh, I'm back. Are you, Steve, you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. So yeah, we're all good.
I lost you for about 10 seconds, I'd say.
Oh, I was just looking at the Visual Concepts and what they did. So the 2K owns Visual Concepts and Take-Two Interactive owns Take-Two, but Sega did own Visual Concepts back during the Dreamcast era, or they were the parent company. And I mean, clearly they make good games because they're still around. They're still making. They make the best basketball game out there. NBA Jam, but that's
there.
But EA has not been able to make an NBA game because every time they make a game, it's just garbage. And 2K just it'd be great to see 2K come in and make a new NHL game because I love the 2K NHL games on the OG Xbox. Man, I loved them on the Dreamcast. That was the first time you could take a shot and knock the water bottle off the back of the goalie's net.
I love it when they do stuff like that. Adds a little bit more realism and fun. And God, I'd love to see a Mutant League hockey game again. I want to check somebody through the ice and see them floating around and under the ice. Point you were missing. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we still have to compete for our
trophy
football league. Yeah,
we should. That should be an episode, and then you can see whoever has to do the embarrassment for losing. And
yeah.
So one thing, what I was thinking about, kind of when we were chatting, that we missed that Sega did that first, at least that I'm aware of, was backwards compatibility. The Sega Genesis, you could put a power-based converter and plug in Master System games on your Genesis.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's compatibility. Yeah. Take a look at the show notes, actually. The first picture I put in there, just when I was looking at it, very right on top of a 32X is a power-based converter. And that's what you put on your Genesis to play Master System games. I've been looking for one of those forever, and they're crazy expensive.
Oh,
You can buy knockoff ones for like $30, but it's just like the silicone wafer, like the
oh
motherboard.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I want it to look like proper.
No, it's true though. It's true. Oh.
What do you got?
The Kathy just sent me a picture, an ad for Optimus Prime and Friends ad for $25. No, it's all the robots in disguise toys.
RID kitty ones.
Here.
That's when you could scan their chests.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That dotted line gives you a different QR code type thing, and if I remember right, it was for a mobile game. But
so they pulled all that stuff over into the Generations game.
Kind of, yeah.
Toys on, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, well, they keep evolving these toys, and taking the things that work and dropping the things that don't. And they're kind of at the pinnacle, I think, of where you can go with these.
Yeah, I mean, they could just definitely drop the price in twice. But anyways, that's another
well, that's the next thing, right? I had sticker shock. I had to buy something on the weekend when I was at Toys R Us. I found the X-Jet, or I should say, the Blackbird Transformer.
Yeah. He's like $90, right?
Yeah, I thought it was like, I look at it and I'm like, it's probably about $60-$70. I get to the cash and comes up over $100 after tax. I'm like, well, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, I was always iffy about that one. I wanted him because you know how I'm a fan of Marvel, so
or you know what I'm doing with it, right? With the whole setup I'm doing for something, it kind of goes perfectly for the crossover of Transformers, because it is a crossover Transformer.
Yeah.
So you kind of.
But it's definitely the most expensive crossover, right? Like
like the Ghostbuster one, Ecto. What is his name? I forget now. Anyway, the Ghostbuster one. But I think what softened the blow was I had returns to Toys R Us, so it didn't cost as much. Already spent the money originally, just not all at the same time.
There you go. Yeah. Way to look at it.
So when I come home, I just go to Kirsty. Yeah, it was only this much. Oh, okay.
Did she listen to the last episode? Clearly not, because
obviously I'm getting my PS5.
Yeah,
although my oldest daughter said your last 2 episodes were a lot shorter than your other ones. I'm like, yes, because we've been rushed and not as prepared lately, and then we wanted to get E3 stuff out. And...
Yeah, good stuff. At least we got somebody. She must be listening to us. That's what it is. She must be listening to us. That's great.
Well, that's what I asked her, and she's like, "Well, I just looked to see how long it was." I'm like, just watch us.
Boo.
Support your dad.
Steve's oldest daughter. You know who you are. Boo.
I'm going to tell her to look at this point, and I'll have her picture float by upside down spinning. Edit it.
Good stuff.
It'll be a good weekend edit, actually. It's supposed to be bad weather.
Yeah, that's it. Raining all weekend. That's it. I mean, it's supposed to be hot. 28, 29 on Friday. I just only know that because I'm looking at the weather right in front of me. It's on my little tile.
If it's gonna rain and it's gonna be that hot, it's gonna be humid.
Yeah.
Although it said, I was talking to one of my customers this week, and he was just talking about how hot it is. I'm like, oh man, it's hot here. Whatever day it was, I'm like, it's like 40 degrees here almost with humidex, and he's like, well, it's 111 here. And I do the math. I'm like, this is without humidity? He's like, yeah, that's the actual temperature. And it was like 44 degrees. I'm like, holy crap, man. How do you guys live out there?
Yeah, but it's dry.
Catch on fire.
Is he from Arizona?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. It's dry heat. It's not the same. It's not the same. When I was in Vegas a couple of years ago, it was like 40 degrees, and I'm walking down. I walked pretty much the full strip. And I was like, I was hot, like I was a little bit sweaty, but it wasn't like if I would have
hear when you walk out the door,
you know, like yeah.
You just can't even breathe because it's moist. It's like a sauna.
Moist. Just for anyone else who's listening to us who doesn't like that word, moist.
Try not to speak moistly.
Yeah, don't speak so moistly.
Anyone that knows our prime minister might get that, but
yeah. Cool, Steve. Anywho, dude, it was great chatting with you right now. As always good, man. Sir. We'll keep it nice and short and sweet. We want people to stay and listen. Anywho, I haven't done this in a while. please keep listening. If you've listened this far, thank you. If you haven't, what the hell? Or watch us for this long. Just keep listening, watching. We really appreciate it. All the new subs that we've received on YouTube and on our podcast platforms. We see you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Keep listening. Steve, as always,
keep collecting.
Keep gaming. Keep safe.